What up, MVPs? Welcome back to another episode of the Raptors Den, presented to you by Faulty Logics. This is Dan, and we have my co-host Peter here.
What's up, guys? So let's get right into the agenda here. Before we get into anything on the Raptors, then this week we had some sad news in the NBA community with the passing of Aaron Popovich, Greg Popovich's wife, the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. We just want to give out our condolences and our prayers out with the Popovich family. Always terrible right in the middle of playoffs when it's the most important. But you always have to handle your family business first. He did miss game 3. All the best to the Popovich family there for you as well.
Definitely.
So let's get into the agenda, what we're going to be talking about this week. We have finally some playoff basketball, some real basketball. So we're going to give a quick update on all the series that just happened so far. A couple key performances in these playoff games by a couple individuals that we're going to talk about and a team as a whole. Some speculations of a team blowing themselves up next year after they're showing in these playoffs. We're going to get to more into depth about that team and thinking if it's pros or cons in that aspect of that. And then talking about the Cavaliers, primarily Tristan Thompson and LeBron James, the fallout of Tristan Thompson's playoff minutes, as well as LeBron James stepping his game up, no one else really stepping up around him, and just the whole situation with LeBron James as well. So before we get into the real basketball talk here, let's throw it out to our giveaway that we're still trying to throw out there for you guys.
Yep, so the giveaway, basically two $15 Google Play gift cards that we're going to give out. In order to win, all you have to do is make sure you subscribe to our channel. Just scroll down, hit that big red subscribe button, and make sure you leave a comment down on any one of our Raptors Den episodes as well too. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to pick one of you guys from the comments list. Make sure your profile is set to public so we can see that you're subscribed to us, and you could win one of the two $15 Google gift cards.
Yeah, guys. Always good to win something for free. So let's just jump right into it. Let's do a quick update of the 8 series that we have right now for the first round. We can start off in the Eastern Conference there, mostly because I know most of us are Toronto Raptor fans. We can start off with the Eastern Conference. Today is April the 22nd, so it is game 4 of the Raptors series. Currently, right now, it is sitting 2-1 for your Toronto Raptors, going into game 4 in Washington. Just lost game 3 the other night. It's going to be a battle here in Washington. Before we even get off of this series here, what's your prediction for tonight's game for game 4 in Washington? Just lost game 3. Raptors pro or con?
Okay, so first thing, after we lost game 3, I got a whole bunch of texts, and everyone's just like, "Oh my God, the Raptors are gonna lose to the Pacers. Oh, DeMar DeFrozen, blah blah blah." Like, shut the fuck up.
One game.
One game. You can't expect us to win 16 straight.
Yes.
We're gonna have no problems beating the Wizards at the end of it, and like honestly, if you're that doubtful of the Raptors right now, like,
you're not a real fan.
Yeah, you're not a real fan. Get out of my face.
I totally agree with that, especially looking at the Wizards last year. They went undefeated at home in their playoff run, and they went to the Eastern Conference semifinals. So they did play 7 games there last season, and they won every single playoff game. When it's playoffs, you are expected to win home games. If you lose, that's a shock. Like, that's not good.
Right.
So losing away playoff games, it's supposed to happen. Let's not burn the bridge down yet.
Right.
It's still, we did what we had to do. We won 2 games at home. The Wizards are supposed to do what they're supposed to do, win 2 games at home, and then go to 7 games where we have the home court advantage to ultimately win out.
If we can split, that's already a win in itself.
Exactly. If we win one of these Wizards games, that's a victory. That's us winning the series.
Yeah.
So it's not done yet. Let's keep the faith. I think we have a pretty good shot here today. Last game, we just got outgunned. It was evident. We didn't travel to Washington. Hopefully another day would have us get there. We were missing Fred VanVleet. That was a big shock as well, but hopefully we'll get it together for game 4.
Yeah, it's just one game. I don't think we're going to have an issue.
No.
I'm still saying Raptors in 5 on this one.
Yeah, I'm still with you as well. Potentially 6, but then that still means we'll have to win on a road game, which is still very tough.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next series where I said it was going to be the most competitive series out there, which is sort of letting me down, but it is still a very competitive series. That is the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. Currently sitting 2-1 yet again. They have game 4 tonight as well. In Milwaukee. Milwaukee won the last game on the home court. Same situation, win at home. Let's not burn the bridge. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater yet for Boston Celtic fans. How have you liked this series so far that it's 2-1 for Boston?
I agree with you. It's probably the least exciting series of all of them so
Let
far.
me down.
Yeah. Like, I have no interest in watching this. Like,
No.
all the other games are like really, really exciting. But yeah, it's kind of boring. It's also low scoring games usually, unless they had that one blowout.
Yeah.
But
It's a defensive struggle.
yeah,
Giannis is getting it going, which we all expected, but no one really else in Milwaukee is other than last game. But
like Chris Middleton.
yeah, he's been Jabari Parker finally got it to going in game 3, which is the reason why they won.
Right.
That's what it is. It's Chris Middleton. Where have you been? Jabari Parker, thank you for finally showing up. Malcolm Brogdon, yes, you've been injured for X amount of months, but it's playoff time. You don't have time to find your legs. You have to get it.
Right.
Hopefully it can turn around. Game 4 today in Milwaukee. If Milwaukee wins this game, we got a series. We've got a series. But we got to see where it is. That is an earlier tip-off this afternoon here as well. Another game that's on this afternoon also is the Cavaliers-Pacers game 4. Surprise, surprise. This, to me, is one of the more competitive series this year, especially out of the Eastern Conference this series so far, is the Cavaliers-Pacers. And the Cavs are down 2-1. Is this the end of LeBron James' final run? Like, 7 straight NBA finals. Is this the end of it?
Is it the end of his finals run? Yes.
That was a reassuring yes. Like, that was a confident, no way in hell the Cavs are making the finals.
There's no way in hell they're making the finals. I honestly don't even think they're gonna make it to the second round.
Wow.
I mean, the Cavaliers suck. They suck real bad. Like, I thought that LeBron James was already playing as well as he could be going into the playoffs. I'm extremely surprised that he can even play better, and he has been.
He has been.
But realistically, there's nobody on the Cavs that is coming out as a consistent like second go-to man. Nope. There's the guy that's supposed to, Kevin Love. He got injured. His left hand
thumb injury
had
or something.
Partially torn ligament or something like that. I don't know.
What else is new with Kevin Love and injuries? Like something's always wrong with him.
Like, who's the next man up if it's not going to be Kevin Love? J.R. Smith?
It's supposed to be J.R.
Right,
or even like Jordan Clarkson. Where's Clarkson been? Where's Nance been? Where's Rodney Hood been?
But like, even if you took a look at J.R. Smith, you know that J.R. Smith is not a consistent scorer.
Yeah,
that guy's a streaky motherfucker.
Yeah, we knew that. We knew that from years ago.
You can't rely on him.
No.
So if his teammates aren't able to score for him, he's still pulling out triple doubles in the playoffs, meaning he is passing the ball, but the teammates can't score.
Yeah.
Like, what more can you possibly do?
That's exactly right. I do believe the Cavs are going to get out of this series. It's going to be a barn burner, but I do think they're going to get out of it. But like you said, going to the finals, that's going to be a little bit of a stretch this year because they have a lot of good teams that they don't have to get over. Like, one, you can't count out the Pacers that they still have to beat.
Yeah.
Then they would have to beat the Raptors, or if the Raptors lose to the Wizards, who would be a good team in there as well. And they would still have to beat either Boston, the Bucks, or the 76ers. Like, those are 3 very good teams where the Cavs are just not a good team right now. Can't count out the King, though. Can never count out the King.
I really like the intensity of the games, though, because it is very competitive. Yeah. And not a lot of people are even talking about, like, Oladipo is carrying the shit out of them. That's not the case. I love how there's a lot of focus on the LeBron James and Lance Stevenson stuff again. That stuff's hilarious.
That's great. I love that. And honestly, I think it is, like, okay, Stevenson's not winning these games for them. Like, don't get it wrong. But he low-key is, because he's getting everybody to focus on him and LeBron and not really think about the game. So really, he's not scoring 30 points a game, but he's doing what he's supposed to do, get in LeBron's head, make it hard for him, make him have to pass the ball to these scrubs on his team that aren't scoring. So he's doing his job.
I think there was like a post that I saw recently. It was like one of the reporters, Lance Stevenson told one of the reporters like, um, all the things I've ever trash talked to LeBron and stuff, all the things I've ever done, he's never responded once back. And the only time he has, he said, "What's wrong with you?"
And because it is literally getting into his head. It's
so funny.
It's psychological warfare, and it's working. Well, so far they are up 2-1. There is another game for tonight. Let's see where that win goes. I'm loving it because like it's in Indiana. If they win another home game and then they take home court advantage away from the Cavs, LeBron, I don't know, you're gonna have to have one of those greatest NBA players of all time outings to do it.
3-1 comeback again.
Hey, why not? But going into what I think is another very competitive Eastern Conference matchup is the 76ers and Miami Heat. Right now it's up 3-1, 76ers over the Heat. They had their game 4 last night. Great showing all around for the 76ers organization. It was a close game at the very end there as well. Dwayne Wade is playing out of control. This is
Wade.
2009 vintage Wade. Like this is not 2009, 2010. Because 2010 Wade.
How do you feel about Gabrielle Union? She posted something on Twitter and said, "Stop saying vintage Wade or like classic Wade or Wade turning the time back on the clock. Like he's been doing this."
But I understand. I like the support from the wife or the girl. I don't know if they're legally married, but I like the support. But we can say this because he hasn't. It's not the fact that he hasn't done it, because he really hasn't done it, but he hasn't been needed to do this like he was supposed to be doing in the old of Miami. So it's not that we didn't think he could do it anymore. It's just that he hasn't done it for a while. So now it's just refreshing to see him do it. He is turning back the clock and he is looking like vintage Wade, and I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, the Heat are not going to win the championship this year. Again.
No.
Like, it's not going to happen. But it's very nice to see them balling out and making it a series for the 76ers.
How do you feel about Whiteside not getting minutes?
Expected, though. Because he is a good defensive player, but he is a liability in the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. And watching these games, Kelly Olynyk is playing better. Like, he is deserving of the fourth quarter minutes because he is just playing better basketball, better all-around defense. Yeah, he's getting bodied by Embiid, but he is spacing the floor. His jumper's looking good. He is passing the ball well. Whiteside, you have to earn your minutes, and you're not doing it. Someone else is stealing your minutes. You got to get it back from him.
So I think there was one game. How did it start off? Did the series start off 1-1? Or was it?
No, it started off
2-0?
It started off 2-0 with the 76ers. Game 3 in Miami. Miami won. Game 4, they unfortunately let it down.
I think one of the games, I forget what it was, but one of my friends messaged me and they're like, "Yo, I think that he can take the series." And then like I just replied back, I'm like, "Nah, bro." And then like 10 minutes later, like the 76ers are up by 20 and it's like, "Oh shit."
Never. Because you know what it was? It was after game 2 when they won by only like 4 or 5 points. The 76ers only like just barely won. Then going back to Miami with momentum. I could have seen it getting a swing, especially after game 3 win by Miami, which was a confident win. But then game 4 last night, they just showed who's the better overall team. They're very deep in the Sixers bench line.
Yeah.
And Embiid, and you know what it is? It was the comeback of Embiid. He missed game 1 and 2.
Yep.
Where they still won. Game 3 came back. He had a good game, but the overall team didn't have a good game. Now it looks like game 4, they finally know how to gel with Embiid back in the lineup. It's looking good.
The thing with the 76ers is that the Miami Heat have to keep up with the 76ers output, and if they can't, that's when the 76ers just run with it.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest thing. It's not like they're even they're not able to stop the 76ers. They just have to keep up with them.
That's what it is. And then Miami's trying to slow them down by making a physical, grind them out game with
expected of them.
Exactly. With a lot of pushing, a lot of after the whistle activities and things of that nature, just trying to rile them up, which is a good idea and a good game plan by Eric Spoelstra, purely because the 76ers are young, inexperienced. their 3 to 4 best players have never had playoff experience. When
Right.
Embiid, Simmons, Markel Fultz, you can even put up there. Has Covington ever been to the playoffs before? Dario Saric ever been to the playoffs
Right.
before? So it's like their whole team has never been there before. The only one that really has is JJ Redick, who hasn't been more than the second round.
Bellinelli and Amir.
Bellinelli, yeah, and Amir Johnson, but
Yeah.
like they're role players who haven't really been deep in the playoffs.
Right.
Amir, yes, he went to the Eastern Conference. with the
Bellinelli's a
Raptors.
champion.
True with the Spurs, but he was even like a lower role than what he is currently with the 76ers right now. So he is a champion. He has gone all the way. So, but with the key people of the 76ers, get under their skin, see if you can throw them off their game. I like that series, and I'd like to see the way that that's going to end. Moving over to the West Conference, there as well. One series that's really not any surprise is the Golden State Warriors Spurs series. The Warriors are up 3-0 with another game tonight here as well.
2-1.
Golden State Warriors. No, the 3-0
Oh,
with the
sorry,
Spurs.
Golden
Yeah,
State.
we'll
Sorry.
start with this one. This one's not really competitive at all. Was anyone surprised if the Warriors sweep the Spurs?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Maybe I would be maybe like 5% surprised because they don't have Steph Curry, which is that. But like still, everyone else, their team is just so much deeper than the Spurs.
I was right from the beginning. I was like, the Warriors got a break. They got the easiest team.
Yeah.
That they got the only team that they could probably beat in the first round.
Yeah. Other than the T-Wolves maybe, but that was a maybe. But no, you're right though. The Spurs were the best matchup in the West for any team because they were just no Kawhi.
Yeah.
They're very young. Like their core people are very old with like Ginobili and Tony Parker.
Yep.
And Paul Gasol, relying a lot on LaMarcus Aldridge with no real support around him. It's gonna be a tough matchup. I can see a sweep coming here this afternoon as well.
It's got to be Rudy Gay that steps up, if anything. But
that we're banking on Rudy Gay here.
yeah,
like,
we haven't seen him for a few years.
Mr. Put up 40 shots a game. like you can't win with a guy putting up 40 shots a game. Like it just doesn't work. So that series, nothing really to talk about. That's gonna be a sweep by the Warriors. But let's go into another surprising series here to me because I thought it was gonna be a 4-game sweep as well. Was the Houston Rockets over Minnesota Timberwolves? As of last night, the Timberwolves finally won Game 3, and then now they're down still 2-1 with the Rockets, but they won a game, which is very more than what most analysts had them doing. Any big surprises from the Timberwolves Houston Rockets series? Do you think the Timberwolves can steal another game, maybe 2?
I think it's possible for the T-Wolves to win one more game, but just one at most. It's been a tough for me to watch because they're both such good teams.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see either of these teams get eliminated first round. But it is what it is. The one thing that I want to bring up though is some statistics. We don't really bring up statistics usually.
Not really.
But Karl Anthony Towns,
The big cat.
he's played 130 minutes in this series and has only scored a total of 31 points.
That is an absolute letdown. And actually, I remember that one in Game 2, he only put up like 4 shots or 7 shots in the second half.
I think he only had like 4 points that game or something. I don't know.
Like, what?
So this is supposed to be their best player.
Yes. Not supposed to be. He is.
He is their best player.
Like,
he's been to the playoffs before, so it shouldn't be something like unusual to him.
That's true. But it is only his second year. This is his second playoff stint, and they got bounced in the first round last year as well. But
and it's
no
not like
excuses.
he's playing any crazy center. He's playing against Capella.
Yeah.
Like he should be able to dominate.
Honestly, I don't fault it as much on Anthony Towns not showing up. I fault it more on his team not providing the looks for Karl Anthony Towns. They're just not giving him the opportunity to get the ball or anything, or even in good positions to try and score. Which is unfortunate, but that's playoff basketball. Defense gets a little bit more tight. They key in on your key strength people, and they just try and get it done the best that they can. Knowing that they are looking at Karl Anthony Towns, and I'm talking about the Rockets, trying to key in on their defensive efforts on Karl Anthony Towns, it has to be onto their coach, to Thibodeau, to try and look to find other avenues to get him the ball or to get the other guys the ball in good positions.
So the other statistics I'm gonna throw right now is Derrick Rose, 62 minutes, 42 points.
balling out of control. Is this vintage MVP Derrick Rose? I know watching game 3 last night, Doris Burke did say that when she did her little press conference with Derrick Rose, he confidently looked her in the eye and said, I'm back. Like, he's back to his MVP caliber, playing under the same coach that got him the MVP. He's back, and he's proving that he is. He's proving that he's strong.
I told you guys, Derrick Rose is not done.
Hey, like, I don't want to say I was a hater. I wasn't a optimist in Derrick Rose's comeback, but he is proving me wrong. I am not eating my words yet, but I'm preparing myself to potentially might have to if they get out of this series by some grace of God. I would have to eat my words because it would be because of Derrick Rose's output from the bench.
I mean, if you look at this team, you look at Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Jeff Teague, you got Jimmy Butler, and you have Derrick Rose. You still got Taj Gibson as well too, who's also a former Cavalier. If we really do have MVP D Rose back or like close, that could be a team that could beat the Rockets.
I was gonna say, why can't they? Like, why can't they? They have shooting with Teague and Butler. Wiggins is off kind of shooting, but like if he gets it together, why not? They have penetration with Butler, Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns. They have inside presence with Towns, Gibson, Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Defense with Butler. Wiggins, when he wants to turn it on, he can turn it on. Karl Anthony Towns is a good defensive inside guy. Jeff Teague can play outside defense. Taj Gibson, Gorgie Dang plays defense. They are an overall well-rounded team. It's if they can get it together. That's the biggest thing. But
what an upset would that be, man?
What an upset would that be? I don't know. I would like it. This series is something to watch out for as well.
I'm rooting for the T-Wolves. I want people to see this vintage D Rose come back.
Okay, so there's differences of rooting for the T-Wolves and actually thinking they're going to win. Yes, I'm going to root for the underdog. Would I put money on it? No. I still think it's going to be the Rockets, but I would very much appreciate a good outshowing from the T-Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to another very competitive series in the West was the Oklahoma City Thunder as well as the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Utah is currently up 1-2. They just won last night's game 3 as well by an unbelievable showing by playoff Ricky. Like, Ricky Rubio, first career playoff triple-double. First playoff triple-double as a Utah Jazz franchise since John Stockton, one of the greatest point guards of all time, who was in the building for that same game as well because his son plays for the Utah Jazz as well, which is kind of keep it all in the family. But that showing from Ricky Rubio, you can't even say that was vintage NBA Ricky. That is Euro League Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable.
So that's the big thing about Ricky Rubio. Like, coming into the league, his biggest struggle was scoring.
Yes.
And
not just scoring, it was shooting as well. But he dropped 2 or 3 threes last game.
Since he's got traded to Utah, he has been his scoring output has been increasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the system. Because in Minnesota, he wasn't taking a lot of shots. And when he did, he wasn't scoring a lot. He was averaging like below 40% shooting.
Yeah.
That was the one flaw in his game. And if he increases his scoring output and he can do it efficiently, that guy's a serious player.
Yes. He is a serious point guard in this league.
Yeah. And that would be, this is literally back to when we played against Spain in the Olympics and when we first discovered him at 17, and we're like, who the hell is this kid?
And when they actually took the gold medal from the U.S. team.
Right, and at that time, honestly, like, watching him play at that time, he became, like, my second favorite player for a little while. Yeah. And then when he got drafted, he became a letdown. But honestly, I still have hopes for him because if that's the one game he's worked on and he's gotten better at it, he's going to become one of these top elite point guards. He's already known as one of the best passers in the NBA.
Yep.
And if you can put in the scoring as well, we can see him in the top 5.
I would not be surprised if Utah pulls away this series from Oklahoma.
Neither am I.
Like, looking on paper, star power, of course it's the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
Like, name by name, they have a better roster, but basketball is not an individual sport. It is a team sport. It matters on how the whole team operates together.
Yes.
Looking down the Utah Jazz roster, it's not a bad, terrible roster. They got Gobert, they got Favors, Ricky Rubio, if he can play like this, the sky's the limit. Donovan Mitchell, who is arguably Rookie of the Year. They also do have other players, like role players coming off the bench and things, like Exum, Dante Exum from Australia.
Mhm.
They have players, they have gunners, like they can ball. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's good to look at.
They don't have crazy star power, but like they play together, they mesh well together as a team.
Ingles,
The camaraderie, and yeah, sometimes when you're like that and you don't have too much to lose,
Yep.
it literally is. You have nothing to lose. You're just gonna play as best as you can.
that's what it is.
You have nothing to prove. You're other than to prove people wrong.
And especially with the Utah Jazz situation, yes, they know the best player is Donovan Mitchell, but like he is not clearly heads and shoulders better than everybody else on the court. So it's kind of hard for the Thunder to focus in on shutting down Donovan Mitchell, just purely because everyone else can contribute to that,
Yes.
to the output of basketball. So it is beneficial for not having one super mega star, because everyone else has to do their job to keep it honest, keep the other team honest. I love this series. Oklahoma, not really much to talk about there. Russell's doing his thing. Paul George is coming out to play. Carmelo Anthony's even playing pretty well as well.
Yeah.
But it's just they have no inside presence, because Steven Adams gets into foul trouble so often, so early, so like all the time.
Yeah.
It's a letdown. It's a letdown.
What do you think of that reporter calling Paul George playoff P?
Marketing, like, I'm not looking into it. Like,
It's the worst nickname ever.
it is, but then again, Paul George in the playoffs, he is a different person. He does come and ball. It's a little bit of a letdown this season, but he can turn on to playoff P whenever he wants. But moving to the very last series of these playoffs, and the most shocking to me is the Portland Trailblazers and the New Orleans Pelicans matchup. It was a clean sweep, 4-0. But not to what you guys were thinking, not to the number 3 seeded Trailblazers.
No,
It's to the 6.
I think in our projections, I think we had it.
I had it going 6 to Portland.
Yeah, I think I also had a 6 to Portland as well.
Yeah, but it went 4 to New Orleans. Like,
My goodness.
holy crap. I don't understand how or why this happened, but well, I can understand how it happened. It's called Anthony Davis balling out of freaking control. What did he have? I heard one game he had 47 points, 15 boards, 2 steals, a block, and like 4 assists.
He's a monster, man.
That's not even human. That is like high school numbers, when when you had that one super kid in high school that would just dominate the league. That's what he did to the Portland Trailblazers in the NBA, in the playoffs. It's unbelievable. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I love it. I love it.
It's pretty solid, and like we talk about the Warriors and the Rockets and how stacked their teams are and everything like that. Well, the Rockets aren't even that stacked. They have Chris Paul and James Harden. But yeah, so we've seen teams where they only had just 3 stars winning the championships, big threes. And with them, they do have Drew Holiday, which I feel like is a highly underrated player.
Very underrated. This is his coming out party.
We know that he can score, but his defense in this series has been tremendous.
Yep.
Huge. And then we can't forget about my guy, playoff Rondo.
I have one thing I have to say about this here. I do owe you and Rajan a sincere apology. I know you were saying that playoff Rondo is a different kind of guy. He always comes up in the big moments. I sort of laughed it off, sort of like what I did with Derrick Rose. Rondo, I sincerely apologize, because you came and you balled out all 4 games. He had like 15 assists in the first 3 quarters of game 2 or 3. Like,
he's scoring.
Like, I have no idea where this came from, but Rondo, like, I apologize. Like, you guys Who would have thought at the start of these playoffs that the Pelicans would be the first team to move on to the second round? Scratch that. Sorry. Who thought the Pelicans would even get to the second round?
Right.
Like that,
Even with playoff Rondo, I didn't think they were gonna do a sweep or even a win.
without Boogie Cut, like they're not even their best team. Like they have another element that they can bring to be even better.
Yeah, and that's what's scary about them.
Like they are looking to be a Western Conference powerhouse for the next 5, 6, 7 years if they can keep the core together.
To be fair, though, I think with Boogie Cousins getting injured, that may have been the catalyst that let playoff Rondo come out.
Yep.
Because when Boogie's on the court, he's handling the ball
He's
quite a
dominating
lot.
the ball a lot.
Yeah. So
He even brings it up sometimes.
yeah, maybe this happening is possibly going to open more doors and be like, hey, we have a ball handler in Rondo. Let's try to create an offense where he gets to control the pace.
Yeah.
Because when Rondo gets the ball, he's pushing the floor. Like, if Rondo gets the rebound, you better fucking run.
Yeah, because you're getting the ball in a good spot.
Yeah.
So it's looking good, but it is, you are correct with Boogie Cousins coming down. It did force Alvin Gentry's hand to figure out a new system, because when they had Boogie and Anthony Davis, there was a lot of bully ball. Bring it down low, post them up, kick it out, shoot a three. Now, without that option of Boogie Cousins, you have to have a different system where it is more Rondo, push the pace, fast break, let's get out and run.
Yeah.
Which is evidently turning out to work.
And he's just going to spoon feed you if you run.
And that's what it is. And it just looked like the Trailblazers couldn't keep up, which was a shock to me with CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard's output just not being where it's supposed to be. Yes, Damian Lillard still got his 20-something points a game. It's just the fact of CJ McCollum didn't come up for 2 games, which is huge in a 4-game series. You need to come up every single game. They had no help from Jurkic or their big man down low. Like, really? He used to be a triple-double guy with the Joker in Denver. He just didn't really show up this series to shut down Anthony Davis. Unfortunate, but that's playoff basketball. The best people come to play when they need to.
And Rondo's passes, like, they're looking spectacular. They're fancy stuff that we saw in Boston. Like, I love it. This is the Rondo that I love to see. I hated him back when he was in Boston because he was obviously the guy that was up against LeBron James. But I appreciated his skill. It's the same as me with Steph Curry. I don't like the guy, but I can appreciate that he's one of the best shooters I've ever seen.
Yes.
And yeah, Rondo, I still think he's probably one of the best passers in the NBA.
Yeah,
still.
Him and Rubio. Like, it's kind of weird. These are like old-time players coming back and showing that he still got it. I love it. Dwayne Wade, same situation.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. But that was the biggest surprise of the playoffs so far, is the Pelicans sweeping the Trailblazers. But that leads us to our next topic here as well. So we did do the wrap-up of all 8 series here. But the next thing that we really wanted to talk about was the Portland Trailblazers team as a whole. There have been conversations, especially with the head coach, Jerry Stotts or something Stotts, about the potential of blowing up the Trailblazers organization. They've had this core nucleus for 2 to 3 years, never made it out of the first round of playoffs before. I know it's a couple of contract years for a couple players as well. Do you think of blowing up the Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum pairing and try and get a different look going?
Absolutely. Honestly, when they first lost LaMarcus Aldridge, I didn't even think they're going to be as good as they were still.
That's true.
And they haven't really gained anything since then.
No.
They had all 3, lost 1 guy, and they were still able to continue producing, but they haven't gained anything. And that's the problem. They're not able to attract any free agents to their city. I think they just got to blow it up, man.
I think so too. Like, honestly, around the league, you see a lot of these pairings, a lot of these duos, especially backcourt duos, like the one Toronto has, Washington has one, Golden State has Clay and Steph. Same with Chris Paul, James Harden.
Right.
You need a good backcourt, and you need 2 good backcourt players. Unfortunately, there was always rumors of CJ and Dame not really meshing well together off the court, on the court. That situation, I think it's just catching up on them. I think they have to break it up. To me, this is more Damian Lillard's team than CJ McCollum's. So
Right.
unfortunately, if one of them had to leave, I can see it being CJ more than Dame. But if you do trade CJ, you can get a lot of value for him. You can get a draft pick and a role player, and like a high draft pick as well. So really, you can. I hate it. I know if you're a Portland fan, you don't want to hear this, but you gotta go through the rebuild stage. Like, unfortunately, you're gonna have to tank, trade away at one of those key pieces, get a role player, get a draft pick, and grow again. I think it's inevitable. I think they need to break it up to get better. Because, like you said, when they lost LaMarcus, we thought that was going to be the start of the rebuild. But they didn't have to go full force rebuild because they were still winning games.
Right.
But I think it's the rebuild time now. So I think one of those two guys have already played their last Portland Trailblazers game. They're going to go somewhere else, and they're just going to have to rebuild again.
Dame to the Cavs.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, now that we're talking about trades here, before we get into the Cavs organization themselves, there is speculation that we're going to go and talk about your favorite topic here in the Raptors Den, Kawhi Leonard. Have we seen the last of Kawhi in a Spurs uniform? This is a contract year for him as well. Do we see him moving on?
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
I have to agree as well, because like, especially for me being a person and like a competitor, after my coach's wife died, if that wasn't incentive enough to try to get back to my team, let alone being down 3-0, what else can make you want to play for these guys again? You know what I mean?
He's not even there with the team to support them. He's just completely out of the picture.
Yeah.
They're saying that they're trying to reach out to him. They're trying to send him messages, texts, and stuff like that. And sometimes he doesn't reply for weeks.
That to me shows signs of a guy that has already checked out of your team. Like, honestly, I don't want to say it's a fact, but it's almost a fact that Kawhi Leonard is going to be moved at the end of the season.
But the thing is, like, with that kind of a personality or that kind of attitude, it kind of makes you lose market value as well, too. Yep. Who wants to pick up a guy who is that selfish or unreliable?
Which is very surprising, because you would never have thought this would come from a guy like Kawhi Leonard. He's very laid back, very quiet. He's one of those blue collar guys. Bring your lunch pail to work every single day. You do your job, you go home. Like, he's very much like Tim Duncan in that sense, one of his mentors. So I cannot even contemplate for a second Tim Duncan doing something like this. Like, never, ever, ever, ever. So it's kind of shocking that this is the case for him.
And it's not something that's like, we can see this happening and leading up to it. It's just like all of a sudden, boom, 0 to 100.
Yeah, like, dude, I hurt myself, I'm not back. Even though I'm medically able to play, I'm not back.
Yeah.
That to me is very, very surprising. But talking about that, let's take that off the table. If we take away that market loss that he has because of his attitude there, where would he potentially go? I've heard some rumors of Boston being one of the people that would be interested in him.
LA,
the Lakers were interested in him as well for a rebuild also. I know you're always going to say the Cavs because you want everyone to go to the Cavs. But realistically, who would be a good fit for Kawhi Leonard?
I don't feel like he'll want to go somewhere that's rebuilding, because he's already won a championship. He's not looking to start from the ground.
MVP.
Yeah. He could go to the Boston Celtics, but do they really need him?
Yeah.
No, they have Gordon Hayward coming back. They have Kawhi coming back.
Not Kawhi. You mean Kyrie?
Oh, sorry, Kyrie. Yeah, they made your mistake.
I was just gonna say, I always do that too.
So really, Boston doesn't need him. Yeah. I think Boston could.
And they have two very young guns in his exact position, in Tatum and Brown.
Yeah. If anything, Boston should go for a better big, than Al Horford. But
not even better than Al Horford. Someone to play with Al Horford, because he is not your traditional big. He's a high post kind of big player, like a Paul Gasol. He's not going to be the one. He can get nitty gritty, get those rebounds for you if necessary, but you don't want that on his body. You are correct. Honestly, the one thing that would put Boston over the edge and make them a guaranteed finals MVP, like champion team, a DeAndre Jordan. If they got DeAndre at that trade deadline time, their team would have been disgusting. Like absolutely disgusting. I know it wouldn't have worked contractually, but they need someone like that, like a Clint Capella, who would go and just bully down low all day, every day.
Yeah.
Let's see if they can get that done, because I don't think they need Kawhi. But then looking at it as a whole, he is like the top 5 players in the league when healthy.
Yes.
He's a two-way guy. He puts the ball in the net. He plays defense.
But he also touches the ball a lot. And then if you're going to have him, you're going to have Kawhi, Gordon Hayward, and Kyrie, who all like to touch the ball.
Yep.
You can't expect any of them to become
Secondary,
catch and shoot players.
Yeah, secondary options. Because
Yeah.
that's exactly the reason why Kyrie left.
Yeah, you might want Kawhi to play defense and stuff like that, but he's not gonna want to go there just to play defense and shoot threes.
Exactly.
So he's gonna want to go somewhere where he's gonna be able to play the way that he plays, and
make a difference.
And that's why I like to say he's gonna go to the Cavs, because like LeBron James, he's literally doing the entire offense right now. I think he would like that some of that pressure relieved off of it.
See, but then who would play the 4? Would LeBron move to 4?
I think so.
And then Kevin Love would move to 5?
Yeah, or they might have to trade Kevin Love. Kevin Love's been injured like the entire time he's been in the Cavs.
Exactly. Who's going to take a Kevin
Tristan
Love?
Thompson's got to go.
Well, Tristan Thompson is going to go. That's fine.
Like, they've got a lot of room to work with, and that's why they can pull in maybe another guard as well, too, either in Lillard or John Wall.
Okay. Whoa. We're making like the USA All-Star team, USA men's basketball team. They have Lillard, Kemba, John Wall, LeBron James, Kyrie, move Kevin Love, bring in DeAndre Jordan. Like, no, okay, let's sell that.
They just need one of those guys. Just one.
No, I can see it. But you're right. Kawhi would have to go to a competing team. I don't know who that's going to be. It's going to be a great thing to watch this offseason. But now that we're on the conversation of the Cavaliers team themselves, and talking about Tristan Thompson and his overall having to go and things of that nature, his minutes have been significantly reduced these playoffs. In the 3 games that they've played, I think they said that he's played between 4 to 7 minutes of game time. Where do you attribute this minute reduction to? Is it his on-court performance just being garbage for his minutes being garbage, or all the off-court drama that he's having with his multiple baby mamas that he's cheated on with multiple times?
I think they're both kind of intertwined.
A little A, a little B.
Yeah, I think he's not focused on the game because of that off-court obviously got other priorities on his head. I mean, he's got a baby that's on the way, and his priority.
Well, he has 2 babies that were just delivered relatively recently.
So he's got that, and yet he's still out there at the club, like hooking up with other women, right? Like, so his priorities are not there. And I think because of that, like, he's already won a championship. He's got his money, and he's pretty satisfied with that. Unfortunately, he's one of those guys that, like, once you get their money, they kind of fall off and disappear.
Yep.
And you can't be like that and be on the same team as LeBron.
No, not at all.
You're gonna have to make sacrifices if you want to play with LeBron. Like, championship is number one thing.
Wins, and just domination is LeBron's number one thing. But I think you're right as well, with a little bit of A, a little bit of B contributing to it. He is, in essence, living like a triple life. He has his one life with his wife, his one basketball life, and then now his clubbing life. Like, all 3 of those all came to light at one time in the most critical time of the year, playoff time, to all just overwhelm. Like, any human being, this would be super overwhelming, being any human. All of this coming to light at one time when it's the most stressful time of your work year. It's just, something's got to give. Unfortunately, it was his basketball performance, which is why I think his minutes were declining. I'm not too sure if it's something else in the locker room between Ty Lue himself or something of that nature, or if LeBron just says, I don't want this cancer on my court right now. I think that's what's attributing to Tristan Thompson's minute reduction, and I think that is what's ultimately going to kick him out the door, is literally all the off-court drama weighing in on his basketball performance, and now all of it is just rolling into one thing that you just can't build a winning team around at all.
Yeah. Well, Tristan Thompson's been MIA literally since they won the championship.
Yep.
Like, we haven't seen him perform well since then. And it was the year right before that he got that big contract when Draymond and him got those huge contracts. And
for the
He is no
playoffs.
Draymond.
Not even close to Draymond.
So I don't know. Like he's got to step up, because if he doesn't, being the type of player he is, who is supposed to, he's getting paid to get points and to get offensive rebounds, and if he's not doing that, he really has no other part of his game that's doing well for him. He's not a good free throw shooter.
Mm-hmm.
He can't create his own shots. He can't shoot the three. Um, After this contract's up, you got to think about what's left for him.
Yeah, and not even just talking about like an NBA, like literally what's left for him in the NBA. I don't really see teams having a need for him.
Right.
I really don't, because what team needs a guy that goes and puts out 6 to 7 points a game and gets 6 to 7 rebounds a game? Not many.
Right.
Not many. And especially for the paycheck that he's getting every year, like nobody needs
Exactly.
that. Nobody needs
Like if you're getting 6 or 7 offensive rebounds a game,
Yeah,
that's a
that's
different
different.
story.
because then those relatively could translate to 12 to 14 points, where he's just not getting it. So Tristan, I'm sorry, like I love my Canadian boys. Like every Canadian needs a shot, but you had your shot, you took advantage of your shot, and then now you missed your next shot.
Pull a
It's
Justin
over.
Bieber, man.
Like it's done. I feel bad. But moving on to one of our last topics here today, there as well, was just the overall LeBron James and the Cavalier woes. First thing off the bat, with going full circle to what we talked about here at the start of the show, with the passing of Aaron Popovich, the way that LeBron James found out about that passing is the way that nobody ever wants to find out of passing of anybody, like friend, foe, or anything of that nature. Right after their game 3 game, in Indiana, one of the reporters, I don't remember who it was.
Allie Clifton.
Okay.
She's a host of Road Trippin'.
Oh, shit. That was nice and quick off the top. Asked him how he felt about the passing of Aaron Popovich. LeBron had absolutely no recollection or no knowledge of this news, purely because it happened hours before his game.
And
So
he was in Zero Dark 30 mode. He's not on social media.
Exactly. He is playoff bound LeBron right now. So he found out of Aaron's passing not through friends, not through fame, but through the media, which is absolutely the worst way to find out of anything. There should very well be a rule about what can be asked in NBA press conference, questioning, things of that nature. Anything that is not basketball or team related should not be brought up. Like what was, okay, even if he knew the whole situation, what was going to be a suitable answer for that question?
Right.
There is none. Like it's just prayers, condolences, all the best to Pop.
Yeah.
Why did that have to be asked after a game 3 showing, when you had numbers to talk about, the actual gameplay to talk about, and everything of that nature? I think that's just totally wrong time. Wrong time.
It's definitely a bad situation, all in all. I know a lot of people. One thing I didn't like about it is that we're talking about something that's more important in the passing of Aaron Popovich's of Aaron Popovich. But then we're taking away from that, because now we have to talk about whether it was right or wrong for Allie Clifton to even ask the question. And the thing is, like, what people don't realize, maybe they're not as big as fans or Cleveland fans. They're only looking at it through the playoff microscope lens. For me, as somebody who watches or listens to the Road Trippin' podcast, I know her relationship with LeBron. He's trusted her with running that podcast, and they are friends on and off the court. And even with the rest of the Cavaliers team, she's always doing the post-game interviews and things like that. So she has a relationship with these players. She's not just a post-game interviewer that's working with the NBA.
Yeah, she works for the Cavs.
So when that happened, I think from her point of view, it was okay for her to ask, because she knows LeBron, and like she feels that he's able to answer the question and handle it.
She knew he would want to.
Right, and knowing that he is close to Greg Popovich, he's gonna want to put his two words out there, right? And So I don't think she did anything too wrong about it, but the media is giving her a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
LeBron James also ended up putting a video very shortly after that saying, "Look, I knew she was gonna ask about that. She told me that beforehand. Blah blah blah." I think that's a lie. I don't
Yeah.
think that he was ready for it. And what to me that is that LeBron James is used to having the blame put on him.
Yep.
He's used to people hating on him. He's used to being the martyr.
Yep.
And that shows me the kind of class that he has as a player because he's trying to take the blame on himself and saying that he was prepared for it and it's not her fault so that people, I guess, redirect the hate
To him
towards
again.
her to him, and he's gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna take the
I'm gonna
fault
take
on
it.
this,
Well,
right?
LeBron James has had shit thrown on him since he was 18 years
Right.
old. So
And that shows his maturity,
yeah.
and that is the type of player that he is too, because like he doesn't want, even in the interview recently they said like he said, what, you're trying to get me to throw my teammates under the bus.
Yep.
He's not gonna do that,
Never.
right? So I don't know. I think people are giving Allie Clifton a little bit too much shit. Maybe it wasn't even her initial idea
Question.
or
Yeah.
question. Like it could have been pushed by the NBA because
Or by
NBA was
producers.
talking about it all game long
Yeah.
already. So I don't know. I think people need to just focus on the fact that it happened. Okay, cool. Leave it forward and just let I mean, just let the situation go to
Go.
ease, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what's most important is that the Papa's family is mourning,
Yes.
right?
Exactly. No, and I totally agree. It honestly was an honest mistake. Like who hasn't made mistakes like that before? You can't even call it a mistake. It was just unfortunate timing.
Mhm.
It's something that we'll have to move on from. We'll try and get, like, not we, like me and you, but like media should try and get better at knowing when and where a question should be asked. And immediately after a game, a personal question like, how do you feel about, even if he didn't know about it, he hasn't had time to process it
Right.
because he's working. Like he's 0 dark 30 mode. He is winning another championship.
Right.
So he hasn't even had time to process his feelings, I'm sure, about the whole situation. So even if he knew, it wouldn't have been the right time anyways. That's a question to ask on a practice day, in an off day, not during a game day. That's just my opinion about it. But on to the Cavs' woes and like the overall loss. Like, yes, LeBron James said he would never throw his team under the bus like he never was supposed to. I never said that, so I'll throw his team under the bus there wholeheartedly. J.R. Smith just has not really came to play at all this whole series.
Mhm.
Do you think? Because I know we were talking about a lot earlier this podcast as well. Do you think that they can make a turnaround? The role players, because LeBron James has nothing to turn around. Like he's playing out of control.
Yeah.
Can the role players turn around and actually make a run for the rest of the season?
You would definitely hope so. You have guys out there that can score and aren't scoring. Like we know George Hill has been deep in the playoffs before.
Yep.
Um,
With multiple teams too. That's a
yeah.
asset as well.
We're not gonna expect him to score 20 points a game,
Mm-hmm.
but we know that he can consistently put up 10 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to be doing that on top of playing the defense he has. The shooting guard position is all in flux because you got guys like J.R. Smith, you have Kyle Korver, you have Jordan Clarkson. You have a whole bunch of guys that can shoot the ball, but maybe just because of the minutes and the rotations, they're not getting in the rhythm.
Yeah.
Um,
And the game flow actually, because like the Pacers have a lot of good outside
mhm.
wing defense in Collison and Oladipo. Oladipo is getting slept on his defensive paralysis. Like he is actually doing well on defense outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
So
I think the guys that have big opportunities to actually do stuff is Larry Nance and Jeff Green. They need to be able to step up. And if you have a guy like LeBron James that is attracting all the defense, you need to be that second cutter. And if you're gonna cut to the rim and LeBron James is dragging multiple defenders on him,
yeah.
you got easy putback dunks or alley oops
Yep.
and pick and roll situations. So those two guys are the guys that have the highest chance of doing something,
Who have the most pressure to do something on their team.
other than the shooters that just need to make their shots.
Hey, that's the biggest thing. But I know that's most of all everything that we had to talk about here today on the Raptors Den. Like I said before, it is the 22nd of April. We have a lot of good basketball on the docket here today. Currently, the Bucks and the Celtics are tipped off already. They're at the end of the first quarter. Bucks are up by a handful. Um, Other games on the docket here today, we have 3:30 is the Cavaliers and the Pacers, as well as after that we have the Raptors versus the Wizards, and the last game of the night is Golden State versus the Spurs. So definitely, guys, after you give this one a quick listen, make sure you watch some basketball here today. It's getting some good games. It's getting down to the nitty gritty. And as always, if you have made it through the whole podcast here,
You're the real MVP.
Peace.